Hello and welcome back to the IDL. My name's Nick and this is the worst draft. Today what I want to go through is, for people who know me, they know I am not a big fan of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. It's just an edition that never really stuck with me, but back when I was starting Gluttony and Earth, and prior to Gluttony and Earth, I was making a real intensious attempt to engage with the system. And by doing that, I was trying my hardest to write for the system, make supplements for the system. At some point last year, I kind of burnt out on that concept, working with 5th edition. Obviously, we're still doing Gluttony and Earth. We're still trying to finish out that story. I'm not going to abandon it just to, get rid of 5th edition for my palette. But overall, I just kind of stopped working on 5th edition material. So what I would like to do here actually is I want to go over the various things that I did have going when I was working on it. Some of them are more complete than others, which I will, I'll let you know as I'm going through what's more complete than the other stuff. But it was primarily a bunch of subclasses and classes that I had been working on. That's the main stuff that kind of got lost when I was doing all of this. I was working on a much bigger structural system for 5th edition that I was testing with Gluttony and Earth, which I can go over afterwards. But I want to start here now with some of these subclasses I made. So let's just kind of go over that. So the first one actually was a joint venture. It's called a Demolitions Expert. It's a class, a subclass. It's a fighter subclass. Why did I say class? It's a fighter subclass. And the whole premise is you're throwing bombs, right? I was working with Grizzlock from... I said that very slow. I think I was trying to decide if I wanted to say Grizz or Grizzlock. Foolish. But basically, we were trying to make a fighter subclass for throwing bombs, because throwing bombs is cool as shit. It didn't really see the light of day for any real intents and purposes. I'm not going to put it on the Patreon just because I didn't fully make it myself. And I believe the PDF I made is I use Symbols for Swindler's Den, which Grizzlock runs. So I don't want to just use their logo on stuff that whatever. But basically the idea is... you use different tools, toolkits. So you might have an herbalism kit or pyrotechnic tools, things like that. Each of these kits have different bomb types in them. So a pyrotechnics tools explosive kit has a basic bomb, a concussive blast, a shape charge. There is Alchemist Tools, which give you poison gas, a smoke screen, oil spill. Herbalism Kit, which gives you Tangle Vines, Spore Cells, and what I call the Blumenkrantz. So basically, as you level up, you get to pick and choose different bomb types that you'd like to use. And they each have different bomb abilities. So that way you have a little bit of variety in what you're doing instead of just throwing. Because I think D&D has just a dynamite or something like that, or a bomb item, and I don't think that's as fun as someone who is, their goal is to use bombs as a weapon. It's just less practical because then you have to purchase all of those dynamites, and it just is a huge toll because they're expensive if I remember correctly, and so you just don't really have that kind of it's not worth your time to actually use it as a weapon. But this way you get I believe 3 bombs per day. Oh, and eventually you get to have more bombs. That's right. But either way, yeah, the whole idea is you're throwing bombs. You get a lot of different things. I know, like I said, I didn't really see the light of day. I don't think we really agreed by the end of it with the herbalism kit, so that it just never really finished out what we wanted to do with it. I was taking inspiration from One Piece when I made the plant bombs, but whatever. It's fine. It's a 5th edition thing, so it's not like I'm gonna really worry about it too much. Next up, we have the Monster Smith subclass for Artificer. Basically, I love making things out of monsters. I love the idea of using monster parts. And you know, it's funny. I only literally just recently started playing the Monster Hunter series. Never touched it before. Surprisingly, for how much I love this concept. But yeah, here we are. I made this years ago at this point, so I believe this one's on the Patreon already, the Monster Smith. So basically what you get is your bonuses you're getting is towards like your crafting abilities. So for instance, you can use at 3rd level exotic leatherwork, lets you spend 3 hours turning 3 hours and half the cost of armor to turn a monster into armor. And then exotic smithing lets you do the same thing for weapons. You get favored material, which means you have the ability to track monsters of certain types better. And then you have the ability to do a lot of like repairs and mix and match parts. Things like that is the goal of this. I only do 5 monster types in this. I thought the rest of them might be a bit more difficult to implement. I think if I would have done it differently now, I would have added elementals, but I did not add elementals to this. So we have aberrants, beasts, dragons, monstrosities, and oozes are the monster types. So like I added oozes, but not elementals. Like what the hell was I thinking? But I'll go over like what kind of bonuses they give you. So like aberrants, armor gives you a wisdom saving throw advantage. Weapons give you extra psychic damage. Beast armor gives you advantage on strength saving throws. The weapon gives you. They also gave you all the armor. I believe gives you. Maybe not all of them. Yeah, they all give you +1 to your AC. But the beast weapon gives you the light and the finesse property. Dragon armor gives you resistance to cold, fire, and lightning. And weapons gives you extra damage of cold, fire, or lightning. Monstrosity armor gives you a movement speed of either 5 burrow, 5 climb, 5 fly, or 5 swimming. And the weapon gives you reach property and some extra bonuses to your attack and damage. Ooze armor gives you acid resistance and poison resistance and thunder resistance. And then the weapon option gives you that kind of damage instead. So a lot of this is elemental. Maybe that's why I didn't do elementals, because I'm kind of covering all of the elemental damage and resistance already. So that makes sense, maybe. Yeah, the whole idea is you get to use the monsters that you're killing to better yourself and make cool armor. I drew a picture of armor built from Slad. So that's the image on the PDF in there. Slat armor. Next up, we have the scroll deck magic. This is a wizard subclass where this one where I was getting a little fun with it. The whole idea is instead of rolling a d20, you have a deck of cards. So you take out the face cards, you take out the jokers, and you're just left with the 1 through 10 of all 4 suits, right? And basically, you have a hand of 5 at all, and you can mix and match numbers of the same suit. Each suit represents a different school of magic. So you get to choose up to 4 schools of magic that you get to have that you can cast from only. And so as you're casting your spells, you combine cards of the same suit, numbers, and that's your roll. So like you could have, instead of rolling on d20 and getting a 7, you could get rid of a 2 and a 5, and that's your 7. Not that you'd want to roll that low, but that's the idea. And then you can discard cards from your hands. You can spend actions to do that, and then draw again. You can discard your whole hand and draw again. Eventually, you get it kind of builds up on itself, so you'll get synergy, where you can instead do suits of similar color discards. There'll be a combo, which when you do that, you can cast, and if you discard 2 suits of the same card, of the same color, if you discard, god damn it, if you discard several cards of different suits but same color, and it's for a cantrip, you can then cast a second cantrip of the other school. Then there's also Combo Master, which lets you use meta magic. If you discard your entire hand using it, you can use meta magic. And then Win Condition is the 14th level ability, where once per long rest, when using your synergy or feature, you can choose a second spell from a second school of magic that you know. You can try and mix both spells as if you're rolling on the potion miscability table. So it's a fun combo build, and where you're using the cards and trying to think creatively instead. And so it's like instead of having scrolls, you basically have cards that act as the scrolls, but they keep them instead of expending. Then we have the Dragoon subclass for Ranger. The idea is you're fighting airborne creatures like dragons, using your lance and jumping abilities. Very Final Fantasy inspired, because I can't get enough of Final Fantasy tactics in my life. So the idea is, at 3rd level, if you can only choose the subclass if you have the favored enemy of dragons, which then also gives you the favor foe feature, which you can only use on creatures with flight speeds. Then also at 3rd level you get leg strength, which means your strength score is considered double when calculating jump distances. So you can go quite the distance when you're taking your leaps. You also at 3rd level get an ability called Dive Attack, which as a reaction you make a melee attack against a creature whose space you land in during a fall or jump. That way you are actively devastating creatures in the air or for people you are jumping on top of. Shock Absorption you get at 7th level, which when you take fall damage and you're wearing medium or heavy armor, you can make a DC 15 strength saving throw to take half the damage. Kinetic Bombardment you get at level 10, which is when making that dive attack, you add 1d4 bludgeoning damage for every 10 feet you fell or jumped to a maximum d20. So that's really adding a mass amount of kinetic damage from your dive attack to make the jump and the leap more juicy, I guess. More likely that you'll want to do those kind of attacks and take those risks. And then lastly, at 15th level, you get Targeted Strike. Well, your favorite enemy basically has disadvantage on dexterity saves to avoid you when you fall into their space. and you also have advantage when targeting favored foe with your dive attack. So that way they can't dex save their way out of the fall damage that you're about to drop on them, and also you get it's all like a huge combo of just big power abilities. Again, you're still taking half damage, so there's even if you make your DC save for shock absorption, you're still taking fall damage. You're still putting in a big risk to get bigger damage output. So it's just something you have to think about when you're doing it. The strategy of it all. You're more likely to see someone who's going to jump like 30 feet or something like that, if they can, and then get a huge pool of damage going without losing too much, I think. The last subclass I have is called the Pact Devil Bloodline. It is for sorcerers, and the idea is your bloodline, your sorcerer bloodline is for Pact Devils, so you're able to make deals with people and give them benefits and get benefits back. So basically, you initially are able to extract a soul coin from a willing creature, and you basically give them a symbol of you of some kind, whether I don't know, maybe it's like a silver ring with your emblem on it or something like that, right? But basically, you give them a personal symbol that they can use. They'll eventually get to pray to it, which will give them temp HP. Eventually, you'll be able to speak to them telepathically when they're praying. And as it goes, you can just get more and more benefits from that. So, like, for instance, you'll always know where they are when they're, and you eventually will be able to always speak telepathically with that person. You can have as many pacts as your level. So, like, if you have if you're level 1, you can make a pact with one person. If you're level 10, you can make a pact with 10 people. This is very much a class that's built around. You'd want a campaign that has NPCs in it, because otherwise you start getting diminishing returns. So, like, I'll touch on that more in a second. So eventually you'll get to grant powers as well, which gives your pact people the ability to use your cantrips. And eventually you get to use meta magic on their spell casting when they use it. And then fine print, and this is why I wanted to hold off for a second. Fine print is when you reach 18th level, as a reaction when you take damage, you may spend a number of sorcerer points to spread that damage to that number of pact creatures instead. A pact creature may take a charisma saving throw against a DC equal to your charisma score to resist this damage. On a successful save, you take that damage. So basically, if you have a lot of NPCs, you're level 18, right? You have 18 pact people. You have a supply of people to push damage onto rather than you taking it yourself. So you want a game that's going to give you NPCs if you're going to play this. It's probably not going to work for a whole lot of like regular campaigns. But for the most part, it's really nice to like spread damage around on like your team rather than everyone taking one massive hit or something like that, right? That way you can stay in the fight to do some serious damage. So next up, I have a full-ass class. It's called the Mystic. 5th edition doesn't have a lot of occult type magic or type classes or any of that kind of stuff in there. I think it's implied, occult is implied in D&D. You deal with that kind of stuff all the time. There's no like class that I think represents the occult forces. So basically this class is 1d. Well, I'll just go through the features. So the class features for this class is HP. You get 1d6 per level. You just get light armor, some basic weapons like clubs, daggers, light stuff, sickles. Get an artisan tool or gaming or whatever. Saving throws, wisdom, charisma, skills. Choose from animal handling, arcana, history, insight, medicine, perception, nature, religion, and survival. Okay, so that's like the basic stuff. The crux of this class is that you get a gift and a curse as you go powerful. So, for instance, you're at level 1, you'll get your curse, right? Each curse that you get as you get more powerful does something that debilitates you. So, for instance, there is deteriorating mobility. Reduce one of your speeds by 10 to a minimum of 0. Deteriorating abilities gain a disadvantage on an ability check of your choice. So you have something that like hinders you. You get a debuff when you choose this. But eventually you also get supernatural gifts, which give you benefits. So you're kind of like min-maxing your character to a degree with this class. So for instance, other gifts you could get is guided skills. Choose a skill and gain proficiency in it. If the chosen skill already has proficiency, gain expertise. Flow state, gain advantage on saving throw of your choice. Sights unseen, gain 20 feet of vision in either blind sight, dark vision, or tremor sense. So like you can already see that there's going to be ways for instance, there's a curse that says deteriorating senses. First time you choose this curse, reduce your normal sight to a max of 120 feet. Second time, reduce it to 50. Third time, reduce it to 15. Fourth time, your character's blind, right? And that can be offset through gaining 20 feet of vision in either blind sight, dark vision, or tremor sense. So there's things to min-max, and it's not as bad as it seems, I think, to take those debuffs. So one of the abilities you get in this class, Mystery Touched, basically you're like, there's a mystery out there. There's like some unseen force that is working on you, and that's what's causing you to get these gifts and these curses. You have the ability to share the gifts and curses at level 6, which, and it lasts for about a minute. A minute. So you'll, for instance, be able to, if you have Tremor Sense, give someone Tremor Sense for a minute. If you have reduced 10 feet, you can give an enemy reduced 10 feet. Things like that. At level 20, you are able to expend. So basically, at level 20, your relationship is to this mysterious force is so potent that it creates a feedback loop as you both rely on each other to thrive. So when you go unconscious, you can spell a spell slot instead of rolling a death saving throw to get a success. Whenever you roll a successful death saving throw, you regain your lowest expended spell slot. So basically, like, if you roll, you can get spells back. If you don't roll, you can just expend a spell to just succeed. That way, you're up a little bit more. You're more resilient as a class. So I have several subclasses for this. I'll just kind of give an overview of each of them. Each subclass will get an additional curse, gift, or ability to do with their Mystery Touched that they can do. So, for instance, the first subclass is called the Oracle. The Oracle gets a cursed path called Hazy Future. Whenever you use a divination spell, there's a cumulative 5% chance for each casting that you get the wrong answer. Supernatural Gift, Clear Future. Whenever you use a divination spell, the spell's effect is doubled, including duration. And then Mystery Touched is Pulling Threads. You may re-roll a foretelling roll once per day. So like you get different abilities based on your subclass that you can add on to. The Oracle basically gets their power through different mediums. So you choose either blood, bones, dreams, mist, tea, or trees, and you can use those things to gain different abilities. So for instance, Visions of Danger at level 1, you also gain the ability to spend 1 minute looking into a willing creature's future. That creature can add 1d8 to its initiative rolls for the next 8 hours. You can also use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Creatures affected by this ability also gain the additional effects based on your medium. So if your medium's blood, they add 1d4 to con saving throws. They use trees, it's a 1d4 to intelligence saving throws. So depending on what you do for your medium will affect the rest of your subclass. So like for instance, again, Surging Domain beginning at 6th level, you gain advantage on initiative rolls when you are in a domain of your medium as described below. Blood Domain, any area with lots of visible blood, such as a bloody battlefield, a hospital with blood bags, or a butcher shop. So you get initiative in those spots if you have the Blood Domain. I'm going to skip ahead to the next class, the Conduit. Conduits are mystics that have connection to the fabric of the magic itself. They are able to alter magic in various ways as they learn to push and pull the fabric of magic. They are also able to channel magic through their body like electricity and redirect it outward. So yeah, you're basically, this is more of the blaster caster type. I guess I wouldn't say necessarily blaster caster. It's give and take. It's very much like the flow of magic. So like, for instance, I'll say their cursed paths is magnetic magic. Spell attacks that would come within 5 feet of you now target you instead. Their supernatural gift, polarized magic. Add your proficiency bonus to your AC and saving throws against spells. You have an ability called Reactive Aura. As a reaction, you can reduce the damage a creature takes by a spell within 30 feet of you by half. You can only use this ability a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus. When you use this ability, you can spend second use of this ability to send a magical feedback to the source of the spell. The source takes damage equal to the amount of damage reduced. So you're basically there manipulating damage and of spells. You're kind of an anti-caster in some regards. They get an ability called Meta Magic Railgun. When someone casts a spell using you as the point of origin, it gains powers. Did I not? I don't think I wrote down what levels each of these happen at. I didn't. Wow, for the Conduit. Crazy that I missed that. So I'll just move on to the Occultist. Mystics with a deep connection to objects and the power that they store are called occultists. Looking into the dark mysteries of the world and how they relate to the objects of power can often causes an occultist to try and summon those dark beings to gain the power they've tasted. Others just seek to understand the importance of those objects and their significance in shaping the world around them. The Occultist, their cursed path is called Maddening Implement. Choose an object you can hold in one hand, gain disadvantage on all other rolls unless you are holding that object in one of your hands. A gift, or supernatural gift, implementive power. Choose an object you can hold in one hand, gain advantage on intelligence checks and saving throws against being charmed while you have that object. Mystery Touched ability, Lingering Touch. Your power lingers in an object of your choice. Choose an object that can be carried in one hand and attune to it for the next 24 hours. Any creature holding that object benefits from one of your curses and one of your gifts, which are chosen when you attune to the item. You can only choose this ability once per day. So their whole shtick is about attuning to different objects. So for instance, they have a 10th level called Speak with Implement. Once per day, you can speak with an object you can hold. You grant the semblance of life and intelligence to the object you're holding and allow it to answer the questions you pose. This ability fails if the object was the target of this feature within the last 10 days. The object can speak with you for 10 minutes telepathically, and you can ask the object up to 5 questions. Answers are usually brief, cryptic, or repetitive, and the object is under no compulsion to offer truthful answers if you are hostile to it or recognize you as the enemy. Summoning the Powerful. At 14th level, when you kill a creature with your favorite implement, you can use the reaction to cast one spell with summon in the name using the corpse of the material as the material components. This creature summoned appears to the place the corpse was on. So you're just kind of summoning dark powers using the energy stored within items. The next subclass is called the Pathwalker. Pathwalkers are mystics who are drawn to searching for unusual places that are not easily found, find themselves needing to follow unusual paths to get there. Whether it's a different plane, a timeline that is slightly off from the one you came, or a building that exists out of time, a Pathwalker finds the esoteric rules to walking the correct path to arrive there. It may be a series of specific turns you must take in specific forests, or finding the clues and coincidences that will bring you to where you're seeking. Either way, the mysterious force that you seek is out there wanting to be found. So this gives you abilities to travel a little bit more. So, for instance, the cursed path they have is focus on the path, gain disadvantage on all perception and initiative checks. Supernatural gift, feeling the path, gain advantage on all survival and investigation checks. And then mystery touch, path seeker. As an action, you can detect any secret doors within 30 feet of you in an area you can see a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus. You get certain abilities like Expeditious Path at beginning level 1. As bonus actions, a willing creature you touch can take a bonus action on each of their turns for 10 minutes. This action can only be used to take the dash action. So basically, you are giving people the ability to move faster, move more. You have the ability to investigate a scene better, like coincidental details. Gives you the ability to, when making insight, investigation, perception, or survival checks, add a D8 to the result. The right path, as an action, you can make the entryway, door, or window function. You can make any entryway, door, or window function like dimension door for any creatures that step through it. Basically, yeah, it's all about finding secret paths and maneuvering the world. Then I have the Ward Specialist subclass, which is mystics that make protective wards and thus know how to also break them. They infuse talismans and other protective items with their magic, and that then protects the place or anything like that. The magic is said to have derived from the god Bes, but has roots in many cultures. So, yeah, I mean, it's basically you're making wards against creatures. You can make talismans that'll help protect from stuff. So, like, for instance, ward against elements. When this ward is inscribed, choose a type of damage. When a creature activates this talisman, they gain resistance to that type of damage. So it's something that people can just kind of activate. You're giving different items to people to help them protect themselves from different concepts. So, for instance, Ward of Non-Detection, talisman can be placed on either a creature, place, or an object no larger than 10 feet in any dimension. The target of the ward can't be targeted for divination. The creatures have disadvantage on perception checks on noticing it. Yeah, I mean, that's the base. I mean, the class is more simple. It's based almost purely off of the wards. And so, like, for instance, spontaneous wards. Starting at 6th level, whenever you would fail a saving throw, you can expend a use of your talisman's feature or a talisman you already inscribed to reroll the saving throw and use the higher result. Lastly, I have what's called the Witch. Witches are mystics that gain power through communication to an unknown force, often misunderstood. The witch uses their powers through weird or unusual rituals that often come at a cost. However, the witch is just as likely to be a healer of the sick and strange, exiled out of fear. They have their cursed path, which is weird and feared. Whenever someone is frightened by you, they instead gain advantage on ability checks and attack rolls against you while you are within line of sight. Supernatural gift, weird and cured. You are immune to poison damage and the poisoned and charmed conditions. And then mystery touch, weird medicine. As an action, you can target a creature within 5 feet of you, and you can make a DC 17 medicine check to remove a condition from that creature or give that creature a condition for 1d4 rounds. The condition can be blind, charmed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, or stunned. You can use this ability a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus. The witch gets certain abilities, such as communion to the unknown. Basically, you get the Find Familiar spell and can cast it as a ritual. You get Witch's Hex, which you learn the Hex spell and can cast it at your highest spell level without using a spell slot a number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus. There's the ability Witch's Cackle. Starting at 6th level, creatures that is affected by your Hex spell or curse spell also suffers one of your curses as well. You have the advantage of concentrating checks to maintain these abilities. They're like a debuff caster, the witch. They're meant to help weaken the enemy, because there's also not a lot of debuff abilities in 5th edition, I don't think. So the whole class itself gives you options for debuff abilities, but the witch itself is very debuff centralized. they have an ability called Making Familiars. At 10th level, when you cast the Polymorph spell on a creature, they are treated as one of your familiars for the purpose of your abilities. So for instance, if you are using your familiar as the source of a touch spell or something like that, you can use it on people who you cast Polymorph on. Things like that. And then I have a spell list of the spells that they learn. I don't remember when... I feel like Tasha's had come out by this point in time, but I don't remember exactly. So I don't know for sure where my spell list ends in terms of like the different things that are available to it. I forgot that I made this. Back when the D&D movie came out, people were like, oh, you can't turn into an owl bear. That's not part of the actual rules. So I went ahead and made a Circle of Monsters subclass for druids that gives them the ability to turn into things like monstrosities. So you can turn into an owl bear. I think I put that on the IDL Twitter at the time. I posted an image of it. Made it real quick. Basically, monster speech, begin at 2nd level. You can use expend a use of wild shape to understand and speak with monstrosities for a number of hours equal to half your druid level. Monster shapes, when you choose this circle at 2nd level, instead of being able to turn to the shape of a beast you have seen, you can instead transform into the shape of a monstrosity you have seen before. Monstrous magic, starting at 6th level. If the creature you take the form of is capable of spellcasting, you can cast those spells using your own spell slots. Magical hunger, when you reach 10th level, you begin to feel the way magic plays in the ecosystem of the monsters you take the form of. When you kill a creature while transformed, you regain your lowest expended spell slot. It's a fun little thing to be able to turn into owl bears and shit like that. So next, what I want to talk about actually is the structured system I was making for 5th edition. I don't know how much in depth I'm going to go on it just yet, because I'm actually have worked on converting it to Pathfinder 2nd edition instead. So I might go over it more in detail when I go over it with 2nd edition, or Pathfinder 2nd edition version of it. But I want to go through a little bit, because it's what I use for Gluttony and Earth. It was built for Gluttony and Earth, or Gluttony and Earth was made to test this system out. So I'm going to give a brief rundown of what the system is. So basically the idea is you work in a squad, right? So you have your squad has a goal. That is the goal you're going for. As you are going throughout the campaign, you are able to make checks that will get you closer to that goal. So like the goal, you might need to get 6 of these checks in order to go on a mission to finish that goal. So it's more of a structured gameplay element rather than like a standard subsystem, right? So it kind of affects the whole campaign you're working in. You're playing it in that kind of, I want to say it's more like Monster of the Week type structuring, where the idea is you are going on missions and then you have downtime. You have missions and then you have downtime. So it's not just a go, 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 go type of campaign. So basically you have your squad, they have a mission, and you are together building those missions, several missions, in order to reach your final goal. Every mission, everyone will sit down and they will come up together with rumors of what is happening, and then they'll roll to see if those rumors are true, and that helps the GM build out the next thing that the crew are doing. And it helps both the GM not have to make every minute decision of what's happening, and it gives the players a bit more pacing control as to what they want to actually interact with. So for instance, things that they roll on for mission aspects are the patron, the location, trouble, a reward, and if it helps with any quest. So like your squad has a quest, like your main goal. Say your main goal is to free the castle of evil energy. That's the main goal. You know, there's a castle, so you might spend your entire campaign being like trying to check off different things, like, oh, okay, so we learned that the dark energy comes from a demon. That's like, okay, that's one step closer to finishing the main goal. You get 6 of those things, like, oh, it's from a demon. It was summoned 200 years ago, so the magic is lost, or the ritual is lost. Oh, we discovered the information on the ritual. We discovered the demon's name. We learned a secret entrance to get into the castle. Boom, you have all 6 of those things that happen, and now you're allowed to go on that final mission. When finding out those things, you might find them out on other missions. So like things that you're doing like ahead of time, like, okay, we found out that, so the patron, rumor is that it's there's a mayor who runs the local who also runs the local tavern, right? It's a mayor tavern owner. Location, it's in a city 2 days away from here. The trouble is that people are demanding the mayor stop swindling people at the tavern that he owns, and that they're hoarding around him. So basically what we're coming up with is like, this mayor tavern owner is hiring your characters to help quell the issues that people are having with him. And you might, that's up to the players to choose. I mean, obviously that mission sounds a bit strange off the top of the dome, but so for instance, on that thing though, you might find out the quest that like, oh, this mayor tavern owner is from a long line of breweries, like has gone back hundreds of years of the breweries, and they have a recipe that actually has information on the ritual, like it's got mixed in with their recipes, this ritual on how to summon the darkness that is inflicting that is on the castle right now. So, you might find like someone might put in something like that to help you go through. So that way you go on your regular missions, you have fun doing the types of missions you want to do, the type of adventures you want to have, and then you get to sprinkle in the different ways that you can interact with the main quest overall. I feel like I'm explaining this not great, and I think it's because I'm not going over it in detail like I've planned on with the Pathfinder version of this rule set. But I mean, that's kind of like the major thing. Like the main thing is, yeah, you have these missions. Players are building the missions themselves. Then the GM takes those aspects and then turns it into the story and runs the game, right? A little bit less work for the GM, a little bit more inclusion to the players on world building and pacing, and it's just a little bit more structured. Because then, of course, you get downtime, which I have reworked downtime entirely because downtime is so dumb. Downtime is so dumb, and I don't like how it's implemented. I don't even like how it's implemented in Pathfinder. I think it just kills momentum, and it's like they write it in a way that says, hey, here's what downtime, I know you want downtime, but here's how downtime works, and we're going to make it so unappealing to do that you won't want to do downtime, which I love doing downtime in games. I like that time between missions to actually interestingly like do something and have like time skips and shit like that. So I completely did downtimes. So instead, each week is about, you get 2 downtime activities. Each downtime activity is like 3 or 4 days worth of work. And certain things will cost certain amount of downtime activities to finish. So that way you have a little bit more structured downtime, and I wrote it in a way so that way you're not spending day by day doing checks on things. Like if you're crafting something and you're spending every single day making new checks, that's like 30 checks for like a month's worth of work. why do that when you could just do 8 different checks to see how long it goes? And, maybe make it go fucking faster. This game, people are falling off of 2 to 3 story buildings and surviving. Right? Why are we going so like, well, but to craft that suit of armor is going to take 2 full years? No, I'm sorry, but this is very pulpy. This is very non-realistic as it is. We can expedite the building process, I think. The downtime, so the crafting process. Crafting is like the biggest offender in all of this, I think. So, yeah, that's basically the main thing. Is I spend this whole thing giving you a structured play and making it so downtime also is structured and bearable and doable, so that way people can have fun doing things outside of just combat and whatnot. Because sometimes, yeah, you don't have an adventure that like lets you build a castle, and sometimes you want to build a castle and have a castle in your world and build up a home base or something like that. And this gives you a lot more doability. It might not take, as quick, for instance, as you'd like, but it's so much faster than what the rules already give you as an option. So there it is. That's really it. That's all I wanted to go over with all of this, was those subclasses and the system. I will go over the system a little bit more when I do an episode on it, or when I do it for the Pathfinder version of the game. I'm still working on the downtime system, I think, for Pathfinder, and converting all of that information into this structure, which takes some time and some work. So I will hopefully, do that then. Otherwise, check out, if you're somehow listening to this, but you're not listening to Gluttony and Earth, check out Gluttony and Earth. It's all on the same feed. Otherwise, you can always hit us up on Blue Sky at idl.rpgs. That is the username for it on Blue Sky. You can always hit us up there and talk. We still have the Patreon, which I am releasing, early episodes of Gluttony and Earth unedited. So for people who want early access and don't care about the music or the edits, they can just get that. I've been putting up rule sets on the Patreon as well. So for instance, you can always check out Realm Breaker and Lion's Draft is on there. I believe the Monster Slayer subclass that I talked about in this episode is the very first thing I released on the Patreon. And I will probably put out more. I'll probably put out the Mystic class if I can fix all the levels that I forgot to add on to the subclasses. But let's see what else. Share it with your friends. Share all of this stuff with your friends if you'd like, or your enemies. I don't care, whichever one you want to share it with. Just get, the best way to get this thing keep going is to, word of mouth. I've heard reviews are good. I've heard, 5-starring or upvoting or whatever is good. If you're on YouTube, liking and commenting is good. But also, mostly just word of mouth, I think, is one of the best ways you can help out. Even if you don't like this show specifically, or you don't like, something else specifically, like it helps the whole process if you help share it. But I think that is going to be it for now. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next time just yet. I was considering going over adventures or something that I've been writing, but this episode I wanted to go over all of the kind of lost potential from 5th edition that I no longer really engage with outside of Gluttony and Earth. All right, well, that's it. See ya. Bye. Bye. Well.